Hey everybody, welcome to Thursday Therapy. It's me, Muscle Whisper Josh, and we're back with another episode here. This is week 9? Yeah, because I think we did, I don't know where we're on. Is this 10? This is, I believe we did 2 times, so this will be the third week. Yeah, so this will be week 3 of our next block. If you guys haven't checked out the first block, the first set of 7 weeks, we did 13 shows. Basically went from head to toe, covering everything on self-therapy and partner therapy that we do for the whole body. Did everything from the feet to the arms to the hands to the shoulders. Basically every joint we focused on. This session or this set of sessions is focused on doing more of a kind of intensive self-therapy and then stretch, therapy set up between me and Sarah. So Thursday therapy with me, we're going to do more like active breakdowns and releases and things like that, stuff that I specialize in and really like to focus on. I shouldn't really say that. Me and Sarah both do like similar things with everything. Like we know how to do the same of each. It's just I'm not going to focus on stretching the way that she does. She really loves stretching. Therefore, she's going to have like a lot more dynamic kind of like thought process when it comes to it. I just don't care. I'm like the get it done as fast as I can with the most effect. It has to be effective, but I want it like in the least amount of time because I'm trying to like fit it into a schedule and I try and apply it to everybody. The way that she does it is also going to be like things that are super effective, but I like to look at her class. If you have the time to like sit there and really, there should be the complements on both sides to our behaviors. So one of them should fit our day-to-day aspects, and it should be everything that we need to do in order to get these things done and make sure that we still do them. The other side of it should be the balance where we effectively take time for ourselves, like we say, and, in scripture and different things that we focus on with afflicting ourselves. It's the same thing as trying to do things that are uncomfortable, even if that means spending an hour on something when you think you don't have the time. These things that we do here, they make time way better and they make time way more effective. So taking the time to do these things, as uncomfortable as it can be to take an hour off, I'm preaching to myself here, it's worth it because your days are so much better. And if you're not doing this all day or something and thinking about that pain, or if you have a pain, it is sucking energy out of your body and your nervous system is lacking because of it. There's no way around that. I don't care if you think you're Superman. It's just not going to be the way that the body should function. And therefore you're not going to have the proper function that you should. And today, I don't know what I'm going to do as far as using these. I had a plan. Me and Sarah were going to do some spine stuff and everything, but I've been telling people that I was going to go over the tools, and I think I should really spend an episode just going over these. I'm going to do a comparison with the new Ache the Way gun that they gave me because they wanted me to compare it to the Theragun G3 Pro that I have. And I thought it was going to be another one that I laughed out of the building because honestly, every single one that I've ever compared to the Theragun is a joke. The Hypervolt, I destroyed it in like 6 months. It works. Some of them do it, but I don't use things like a normal human being. So, and I don't think therapists should use it the same way as a normal, like regular person. So therefore I'm going to test something to the point of where short of throwing it against the wall, I'm going to see what it can do. And the Hypervolt, it just didn't keep up. Its attachments weren't good. They just basically, the balls would actually like grab on the material and the tissue and stuff like that. It wouldn't have a smooth glide to it. It doesn't pull away from the tissue or the skin that you're working. Therefore, it's not going to have that smooth feel to it. Now, if you do it with certain things, I love it. It has like great effect to it and stuff. But for me, if something's going to break like that, when I spent $300+ on it, I'm not going to promote it at all. Not at all. And the Theragun, I had hell with the G2. I'm not going to lie. The G2, I had 5 of them before I got one that worked. And it was a completely different setup than this one. And it's been 2 years since I had the G3 Pro now. And it's probably more than that, probably 2.5. And never had a problem with it. Okay. I probably should get a new one now. But I mean, even if it broke on me right now, which I mean, it's got scuff marks on here all the way. These attachments would come off. I had to super glue them back on because I use them so much. And they could probably make a better design on that. Other than that, the ergonomics and everything on this are phenomenal. It's amazing. So, and the fact that it's last 2.5 years for $650, guys, do the math. I mean, you're talking about the better part of like, like 175, $180 or something like that. I forget what the math breaks out to a year to have something like that. I mean, you can charge $100 an hour doing sessions with that if you know what you're doing. So yeah, you figure a couple $100 a year investment like that, that's brilliant. And people say 650 is expensive, but guys, come on. The DMS or the Raptor from Hyperice, they're 3,000 to 3,600 bucks. And that is a cheap medical device, okay? Like any kind of medical therapy tool, like I want to get the Novathor handheld laser or the new fit, they're all 15,000 bucks, okay? So anybody who's talking about something that can heal you rapidly and do the stuff that it does to make your muscles function and fire better the way that it does, 650 bucks is like you rob a bank for that kind of price. I mean, the things you can do with a Theragun that we weren't able to do in the past or any one of these percussive massage devices, it's ridiculous. The fast pace efficiency that you can create with a tool like this. And not to mention for therapists out there, the last thing you want to do is mess with your own arms and hands after you just worked all day. It's terrible. So that gun offers you an alternative and something to work with that's really, really easy to handle. And after you start using it for a bit, you know, it starts loosening your own hands up and it makes it easier to finish off the job of working on your own hands. The rest of the stuff that I use here, you got another vibration tool. This is the Hypersphere. I call it, it's like a Death Star. I mean, this, you would not want somebody to throw this at you, let me tell you. It is, you can probably hear it. So it's got 3 settings. It's really hard and really rigid, guys. So you cannot use this against the wall like a regular ball, but it's for like legs and stuff and rolling. It's insane. And the floor, yeah, the floor. I mean, I do it up here on this. It'll be kind of loud if you do it on here. Oh yeah. So the same thing Sarah was just saying is what kind of touching on what I was saying too is the fact that it is really hard, you're not putting it against hard surfaces. It's going to like everywhere and it's not going to sit. So carpet, you know, get some towels or something, put something to give a little cushion to where it'll absorb a little bit of that vibration, just puts a little bit of cushion between that ball and the floor so you can actually use it. If you put it against the wall, I bet you it'd put a hole in it pretty fast. Because it'll like knock you off there and your entire house will sound like it's going to fall on you. So it's not the best thing to do it. I wouldn't even suggest trying that unless your whole family is aware of what you're about to do, because it will sound like the house is about to come down on them. I did it at my mom's house and yeah, it's like 1 second in, it's just not good. So let me actually start going through these. I don't want to sit here and just ramble on, but and I'll just probably put this down because you guys can hear me. All right, so you guys know my favorite stuff is all the percussive tools, okay? So, you know, when you're talking about which one, just, you can walk through there. All right, trying to dodge the camera. When you're talking about these kind of guns, which one do you get? Which one should you get? I'm going to do a full video on these, okay? They want me to do a comparison with this. I'm waiting for them to send me a second battery so I can do a true comparison to the 2-battery G3 Pro that we have here. These are the only 2 guns I recommend. That's what I'm going to say, okay? I want to talk about how you use these. I really could care less about what brand you get. I will teach you to use any one of them. I do care if you use a certain one in regards to the fact that you will get a better bang for your buck, okay? If you buy the G3 Pro, it is going to last you. It is phenomenal. Even their new one is even better. I don't like his new big ball attachment, but everything else is phenomenal. The ergonomics on this pretty much are a lot better than this. This is heavy, very top heavy, and this one is kind of heavy and top heavy. It's actually heavier than this, but ergonomically, it sits in my elbow like this, okay? Or like here. These are the 2 grips I use. I don't grab here unless I'm trying to reach on my own back or something, okay? This is where a therapist should use this, is here for far away, like if you're gonna do something like, you know, like more like this, okay? And this is for the close, which I just demonstrated wrong. So if you're gonna use it close, use the inside grip. But ergonomically, when you grab here, it sits in my elbow is where I feel it. When you're here, I feel this all in my wrist and my hand, which for a therapist like me who uses this hours and hours in a day sometimes, it's not gonna work. So I love that gun and the way it works. I use it more than the Theragun with most things. I use this on a lot of stuff because it's just way more cushion than this one and the dampening of it. It's spread out more, so it actually is easier to hit like really, really tender tissues without upsetting your client. But the, where is it going with that? Yeah, so the big thing with this ergonomically, it's phenomenal. This is $650. It's well worth it. It has 2 speeds. So here, and you know, the adjustable arm with the Pro. So, which is ridiculously, it's huge. You have to have it. Okay. Don't buy this gun and get the cheap one. Don't. I mean, it's $300 more, so I don't want to tell you don't. If you had to do, if you're going to spend the $300 range, you better buy this one. Okay. And I would argue that you might choose this one anyways over the Theragun, just because of that fact. But there is benefits. If you were going to use this a lot, if you were a therapist, don't buy this. No, that was the hyperbole I was just talking about. This one though, if you're going to use it for a lot, I will have to say, I already know. I don't know how long this lasts. I haven't put it to the test. I can't speak on that. I will not lie and just say it just because they sent me a free one. So I will test it. But that's why I wanted the honest test of doing both batteries to see, because they say, oh, 4 hours, you know. Same thing they said, this one lasts you like 45 minutes. If you put it on high, it's not lasting 45 minutes. And if you put it on high the whole time, you will not be able to use 2 batteries the entire time. You will need 3 batteries. Food for thought if you have a G3 Pro. If you're going to use and do like a 2-hour, 3-hour session and only use the gun, you will not be able to use this one on high and achieve that time. The batteries will run out beforehand, so you will need 3 batteries. Same thing with this one. You know, it has 5 settings, okay? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Has this a little bit different attachment. It has a flat attachment I really do like. Batteries are pretty straightforward, you know, simple. Like I said, they're percussive massage devices, okay? They pretty much do the same thing. You're either gonna have one that's like the hypervolt style that doesn't do this a lot. It just kind of like vibrates right in the same spot. Or you're gonna have one like this where you can clearly see that the shafts go in and out. And you can tell this one's a lot quieter. So if that matters to you and you're trying to be quiet, not tick off your family or whatever, or you got other practitioners around you and you can't be like, the new Theragun is significantly quieter, but I would argue I need to get it side by side with the new G3 Pro. I don't think it's as quiet as this. Okay. When you use a percussive massage device, short and sweet on these, okay? Don't death grip it. Number 1, don't squeeze to where you feel the knuckles of your hands, the white of your knuckles. You're already going to feel that after you use this for a few minutes. Your grip, okay? Nerves relax and feel great because you're syncing all the muscles together with vibration. They relax at first. Then the vibration is going to continue adding stimulation to those nerves, and the capacity is going to build up in that nerve. So you're going to go from this relaxing feeling to it starting to build back to tension, okay? Don't squeeze it because you're already going to squeeze it once that happens. Once that happens, your hand will start to feel like you can't relax it. Probably need to take a break, okay? Do not try and sit in one spot and trigger point with the Theragun or any gun, okay? Don't try and do it like a foam roller, like where we sit for 5 minutes and just break it up. You will seriously mess yourself up. I'm not going to say to the point of injury, even though it would be categorized as an injury based on the body's definition. You will feel bruised. You will feel like you can't walk the same way, or you can't move that area very well. It feels just like a bruise. I mean, if somebody went up and went, bow, and just rocked you in your thigh, that's what it's going to feel like, because you basically created all this massive stimulation and frequency that you pump through it, but not the surrounding areas. So this one's going to be way more worked, let's just call it, okay? You want to go softly, layer by layer. You want to just going without putting pressure, okay? So you see when I get to the top, I was like hitting it a little bit more, and that's because there was a little bit more of a firm spot there, but I didn't stay there, okay? It's just go and then move, okay? And when I shut it off, I would have moved. So try and figure out layer by layer, what's the hardest, go over that area a little bit more than the others, and then come over here, and then just this painting motion, back and forth, another coat, another coat, another coat, some clear coats, some primer. We're gonna do this over and over, methodically, okay? You're gonna open these things up layer by layer by layer. So as you feel the hard stuff start to melt, then you'll feel more consistency in how long you're spending on each area because everything's going to start to feel the same. Don't just aimlessly throw the head of this around, okay? Think about the exact spots that you're using, okay? What spot is touching me, and focus on what you feel, even if you close your eyes. Just focus on that spot. When you do, you will go from this to this, okay? Immediately when I tell people, stop doing that, focus on the tip of it and exactly where it's touching your body. Immediately their brain syncs with it and they go into this beautiful rhythm, okay? Trying to think of anything else. Low speed versus high speed, okay? Low speed doesn't just mean that it's going to punch you less, okay? It means that there's less harmonic frequency, meaning the vibration is putting a lower amount of energy into that area at one time, okay? Like each second. Versus when you turn it to high, you're going to be dramatically increasing that amount of stimulation that you're putting in there and frequency that's going into it. And therefore, it's going to be harder for you to match it up to the other muscles in that region. Meaning if you spin and go through with high and you're doing it, you better be ready to be good at what you're doing because you're going to need to go faster. And when you go faster, you're going to be putting less pressure and therefore it's going to be harder for you to get all of these things matched up. So start slower, but also speed affects how well the head, this is the head, the attachment, it affects how well it moves across the surface. If you go slower, sometimes it might feel grabby, okay? It might not feel smooth as. You can see that it quickly changes when you go up to the high speed. But if you have somebody who is extremely understimulated, meaning if their muscles are sedentary or lackadaisical, they're just kind of like not used to being stimulated. Like your average mom who sits around and doesn't really have any activity, was never an athlete, and she kind of like sits, stands, and travels all the time. She's driving to the store, she's standing with her kids, she's sitting with her kids. The kids aren't really like, maybe they're younger, so she's not really getting super active and running around and doing all these things. Well, she's going to have more of a sedentary type of muscle, okay? She's busy in her life, but the activity and actual function of her muscles is not really being challenged. That's going to be somebody who is extremely understimulated. So a high amount of stimulation on there, meaning AKA the high speeds or higher speeds that you can set on the other guns. And this is only 2 settings. It's going to be harder for that person to relax. It might make them just convulse and twitch. You might feel that too and then be like, or like in my glute. If you feel it, it gets really ticklish. I mean, I can feel it. That's why I did that right there. It gets really, really like tickle, like nerve itch kind of tickle feeling. Just back it off, okay? Put it on a slower setting, de-stimulate it a little bit, and then move back up, okay? It makes absolutely no sense for you to put more stimulation in than that area can even handle. If you get any kind of reaction from doing it, like if it's not just a kind of calm and smooth, maybe it's a little sensitive and it hurts, but it's not like where you're just kind of like can't keep yourself still. It makes no sense. You're working against yourself because you're causing the muscle to contract and fight you. You want it to be in a relaxed state. So pressure, speed. So basically the pressure that you're applying, the speed at which you're moving, and also the speed at which you have the tool you're using going at. Those are the 3 things you really, really, really need to focus on, okay? Those things are so important because if you don't understand them, then you won't understand how to progress or regress when it comes to the amount of pressure and stimulation and things. So if the situation is changing and the person is too stimulated or too understimulated and you're getting these reactions, if you understand those 3 things on how to back off the pressure, how to slow down your speed, or how to turn the gun down, then you'll know how to effectively make the session with you or your client a lot better, or your friend, whatever it is, a lot better, okay? Harder tissues and softer tissues when it comes to vibration devices. How do we look at harder tissues versus softer tissues, okay? Harder tissues are really gonna need a faster speed to go over them, okay? But therein lies the double-edged sword. What did I just talk about? If you're talking about speed is going to add more stimulation, here's the 2 things, okay? So if an area is really, really, really hard, okay, it can either be incapacitated, meaning that the body has hardened it so much that the signal from your brain and nervous system aren't penetrating there, or it could be super, super overstimulated and it's not quite to that hard point to where the signal's being blocked. So at that moment, you have regular tissue, and then the scar tissue is basically sent on a mission to suppress an overactive nerve. So when your nerve gets really angry and it's just twitchy and resonating and it's like throbbing, whatever it is, okay? Scar tissue is the army that goes in and basically covers it up, covers it up, covers it up. It's spreading that signal out 7 times every time that happens. One signal is spread out 7 times, 7 times. It's getting less and less, and eventually you build up enough scar tissue to where you don't feel it anymore. But if you keep leaving it, it will progressively harden that tissue because you're not doing anything to fix that impairment, and you're risking injury, and getting more and more exponentially greater in this risk. And therefore, the body is going to harden it and force the signal to be removed entirely. But this is where you fall down the steps, slip on some ice, athlete goes too far into a range. The calcified tissue has no ability to fire, therefore no ability to support that motion that went too far. And in fact, that's why it got hard to prevent you going that far. And then we have a catastrophic injury. That's where catastrophic injury really comes from, is surrounding areas being calcified because they can't move or fire. They don't have the ability even to get there, let alone be functional in that range of motion. So you're going to use a faster speed with harder tissues. Like if I go over my collarbone, if I go on a low speed, you'll hear it. And I'm really good at what I do with the gun. So most people are going to be a lot more just slapping themselves with the gun. It's going to feel like somebody's doing this intermittently on your chest. But the speed on here, if you heard it, was like that jumpy sound. Now watch how smooth it sounds with this. Almost no clacking, okay? And I wasn't even really having to do anything but move back and forth, okay? And that's where you got to keep that grip loose. On hard tissues especially, keep that grip loose and just go back and forth, but you're only grazing the surface, okay? Why? You are not going to break up calcified tissues, okay? And that's what every therapist and doctor has ever told me over the years. You cannot break up calcified tissues. I know that, but the body can. And how do we do that? You stimulate it. This gun is a facilitator. The vibration is activating things, whether or not that tissue is hard enough to let it in. When I just told you the hard tissues prevent the signal getting in and reaching that area to fire, and because of that, we can just lightly send stimulation in and wake up those dormant layers. The vibration will penetrate anywhere the vibration can shake. It is creating a cellular response. Why? It's energy. It's kinetic energy. The second vibration is passing into the body wherever it stimulates. That's literally like electricity, more or less, going in there, and the cells can utilize that energy and actually create movement, change, function, release, everything, because you've added it. So you penetrate with the vibration, and that's the best thing about this. Dormant layers and things that aren't functioning and contributing, this goes in, wakes up those dormant layers. So underactive tissues that are really soft and just weak and, lackadaisical is my favorite word for it. It wakes them up, brings them up to the par of the other muscles, okay? Super, super, super overactive muscles, like calcified tissues and stuff, it starts to activate them and calm them back down to the playing field becomes level, okay? So you have both sides. You got underactive muscles, it's going to wake them up. Overactive muscles, it's going to bring them down. That's what compensation is. So when you use this gun, you are effectively bringing muscles together. So they're like two buddies who are like playing tug of war, and now there's two buddies pulling tug of war against somebody else. So you get them in harmony together, and now compensation is no longer. Muscles, synergists, muscles that do the same thing, they work together to do the same job. That's what a synergist is. Synergistic dominance is compensation. That means one muscle is overactive and pulling, and the other side of it, that antagonist muscle that balances it, is too weak to pull back. Okay, so when you see that, you just create synergistic harmony by putting vibration in, the muscles come together, and you start to get this relief, okay? But soft tissues, you can go with like a slower kind of thread. Hard tissues, really overactive ones, you'll want to go with like, I would say overactive tissues that aren't hard, you're going to still want to go slow because it's still going to be functioning. And if you hit an overactive muscle, that's like when you hit the glute and it feels super ticklish and you just kind of like have to do this dance, you can't stop moving, then that's super overactive. But there is overactive in regards to too overactive becomes calcified. So the calcified tissues, as they wake up, they're going to become really sensitive pretty fast. It might not happen right then, but after they start to open, they will be. And that's when you'll notice like, oh, wow, this area, like my collarbone, was really hard. and overactive, but now it's opened up. I mean, it's really hard, and like I was using the high speed, but now that it's starting to soften, it's still really overactive because it hasn't come down now. And because of that, I had to lower the speed. So when you get those soft underactive tissues or the overactive, they both use a lower speed typically. But when you get into hard tissues, you will want to, see my puppy. You'll want to go with like a higher speed on the hard tissues until it actually starts to calm down. So that's that for that. I went over this guy. You can use high, and this is really just a matter of personal preference, how you feel. Because when you do these, I need to charge it, man. Lucky it has some juice. Let's just work on here. So like here, it's on low. You guys can't really, see this. It's no different than a foam roller. You're sticking it in there and just like letting it work an area. But so that's low. Let me go a little bit higher. And this is just on a basic rubber mat, guys, just adding a little cushion. So this shows you could do a little bit like a bath towel or whatever with a few folds, and you'd be good to go. Yeah, mid works great. And now I'm going to take high right to my other glute. Good buzz to it. Yeah, so it works great. And I've been doing some glute rolling and stuff. You might not find you can go straight to the 3 on this, but on a rubber mat, it's not shaking my house to destruction, and I can go straight on the glute. My glutes are pretty overactive, they're not sensitive, but they're pretty overactive because of the way I challenge them with my work. So the alternative to this is, this was the OG, okay? This is the Kong ball. See if I can focus. Just like it is, the dog toy, okay? Just bring these up and do this, okay? Here we go here. I'm just gonna show you guys these. This is the dog toys. So I don't know if you could even hear me there. So this is a Kong ball, just like a dog toy, PetSmart, anything. This one has the hole in it. You can see there. Typically you can get like a black one or a red one that has no hole in it. This is for like sticking treats in for a dog or something, but it still works. This is like my favorite thing to do, to like put it in your back or anything here. But also the Kong ball is big enough, a little bit bigger than a lacrosse ball, so that you can actually pick it, you can roll your legs with it on the ground and stuff. It'll actually be big enough to keep your leg off the ground, and you can still roll with it. It's also got a little bit of give on here that a lacrosse ball doesn't, okay? It's a lot more forgiving. I don't recommend lacrosse balls, ever, okay, ever. If you're gonna use a ball this size, use the Kong ball, because you have a lot more accessibility with doing your legs also. It's also got the give on the outside, so it'll be a lot more forgiving and easier to start with. And it's a bigger footprint, okay? The smaller the footprint, the more acute the pressure, the more acute the pain is right off the bat. The more intense it's going to be and harder to deal with, no matter if you've got a good pain tolerance or not. You can't really change it. Some spots you'll lean into and you need to have a certain amount of pressure with the lacrosse ball to reach it. But when you do, it's so painful that you can't bear to do it. That's why this is a better idea. And then this will be the other one, okay? This is a Mobilitas. If you want this stuff, just give me a message, email me, and I'll tell you where to get it. It's just a hard foam ball, but it is my favorite for rolling the legs, obviously, but I can also do with the Hypersphere. So the HyperIce Hypersphere can't go on the wall, but, oh, blurred me out. All right. But this one you can go on the wall with, okay? So this is a big ball, good footprint. And it really helps to get into bigger areas or more sensitive areas. Because like if you have a really sensitive area, you go to a bigger ball, it has more that it's hitting, a bigger piece that it's pressing into, therefore it's going to be less painful, less acute. It can be easier for you to bear on like a really, really tender spot. This little dude is just from a pet store. It's a hard little small tennis ball. For your traps, getting this up in here against the wall and leaning up into it, or your rotator cuff, it's so small with a little bit of give that it doesn't really kill the spots. But man, if you want the pressure to get into it, it really gives it to you. But it's so small. It's smaller than the lacrosse ball, so you can actually get in between the fibers and really release the trap and up into the neck and stuff. It's amazing. It really is. And then you could like lay it on a, you know, if you're laying down, you could have like a mat or anything that you could prop up, a box or whatever that you could lay your neck on and put this on top of it, like something like here, so you could like lean back and like actually hit up in your skull and everything. So this is also Kong brand. I just realized that. So you guys, same as the red ball, you could still use it. You could probably find them cheaper on Amazon or eBay or whatever. So, but legit. Here's another version. These are the Mobilitas ones, same as that big black foam ball. These are great. So these are similar to my like the peanut style rollers with two balls fused together. This is from Roll Into Fitness. These are my buddies. Yep, I guess I don't need that. But this is a smaller version of it, and it's really good for getting up like in the neck here and splitting the spine. It's also really good for when you're doing stuff like you would. This is a lacrosse ball, but two of them. So you no longer have balance, okay? When you're pressing into these spots with lacrosse ball, Kong ball, foam ball, ball, whatever ball, you're balancing. So you're having to balance as you roll. This you don't. So when you do this, this is going to create more of a relaxed rolling experience, and it's also going to allow you to sink in deeper and really focus on spots, you know, without feeling like that you're, you know, when you're balancing, your tissue is firing in order to hold you up and stabilize you, as well as trying to get broken down as you're working it. So these peanut style rollers really help you to break away from the whole balance aspect. And you'll notice there's a whole level of like more, you know, more comfort and more relaxation when you roll using these. This is a 3-ball roller by Mobilitas. Pretty awesome. This might have been from Roll Into Fitness, actually. I think this is from Roll Into Fitness. I don't know. Mobilitas or Roll Into Fitness. I haven't used it in a while. This is, I'm gonna do my feet. That's what I am gonna do today. And this is, I just found this again, and I was pretty sad I couldn't find it for a while with it, because there's certain things that I don't use it all the time. I don't even pay attention until I don't have it. But these are amazing for the feet and certain things. Feed the baby boy. All right. These are my dudes. The Roll Into Fitness roller, the gray one. Soft-ish. It's definitely not soft, okay? But it is like a soft roller. It's got some real give to it. I don't know if you can see that, but I can press in pretty good. The black one, a little bit harder. It's got more of a rigid core to it. Still not that hard, though. You can still press into it. These are, I use these for everything pretty much. And they straddle muscles. So if you have a really sensitive muscle in your quad or something, you can actually let the muscle sit in between here and straddle them, so it's not nearly as painful. And so you can melt the stuff around that tender muscle, and then when you go onto that muscle itself, it won't be so bad. But these are amazing for just about everything. You know, they allow you to add some more pressure. They reduce the balance, like I was saying, but it's got some cool things like hitting the spots on either side of your spine and letting the spine sit right in here. And like I said, straddling muscles that are really sensitive, and not having to like kill yourself in order to release something. But for the legs too, as big as they are, they really help you to like get up off the ground, have a smooth rolling experience to where you can actually roll back and forth pretty effectively. But so today, I didn't want to leave you guys with nothing. I didn't want to just go over tools and say things like that and stuff. So I am going to do my feet in a minute here. Hey, Bubba.
And for rollers, guys, you know this is the key, okay? For my whole practice, my whole everything in therapy, it all started with one of these, okay? It all started when I actually had my fitness manager foam roll right here on both sides by pressing a roller into me and using a roller stick after a leg day. And I stood up in disbelief, like, how the heck do I feel better right now? I feel like I can walk to my car. This is really weird. Normally I stumble out there and then I try and shift and my leg is like, I can't even shift my car. And everything that I built, that I do for my before and afters, for my clients and my hands-on therapy, I built from this. I roll myself, I feel what I created myself, and I made something with my hands, my knees, or shins to apply to you guys in a one-on-one session, you know, when we see each other in person. I started out with the rumble roller and this black roller. And I normally would use a 3-foot, that's a 2-foot, but because we traveled, everything we did became like, I used to use a 4-foot wide mat. Now I use two 2-foot wide mats so I can pack them in the car better and stuff. And the roller is, I mean, there's so much accessibility when it comes to it. There's so many different options that you want to look into. Is it good to have a knobby roller like the rumble roller with all the spikes on it? Sure. It'll help you with more of like a massage, kind of deep tissue feeling and everything like that. And like a warm-up facilitation kind of thing for it. And then you can use it with the you know, in combination with the black roller or a softer roller. You know, I used to preach only hard rollers, and now I really focus on the fact that you can do a soft roller or a different type of roller in order for you to like warm up, facilitate things and get them going, and then get into going into like some trigger pointing and things like that with some deeper tissue work in a hard roller. And so when you're choosing your roller, or if you're having issues with your roller, make sure you got to see like how long, because if you had it, it is foam, guys. It does wear out. You will have to get new ones of these. And if you foam roll every week the way you're supposed to, I mean, these are pretty good now, but this is even still getting a little softer, but they shouldn't last more than a year. You know what I mean? Like your black roller will now become a soft roller, but even the soft roller is going to have more consistency in the foam because it hasn't been broken down. So a black roller doesn't really become a soft roller. You should more or less throw it away because once they break down, they're really not going to do the same thing. And you can't freeze them like these. You can throw in the freezer and they regain their form right away because they're polyurethane. This is not. So when I don't even know what these are made out of. If it had a industry stamp on it or something, but it's Amazon, so they don't have the casting mark on it, which is crazy. I thought they had to legally, but they don't. We used to do casting and stuff. Oh wait, there it is. Nope, it's not a casting. Nope. So I guess they don't say what actual tensile strength or material this is. So, anyways. Food for thought, the darker the roller, the harder. Black is the hardest, white is the softest, okay? So blue is probably the softest I would ever buy. White is like a pool noodle. It's not gonna do anything for you. Unless you're just like you have fibromyalgia or something, it might be an option for somebody like you. Using a blue roller would probably be as soft as I get, and then that would be your soft, this would be your hard. If you wanna get a rumble roller with all the spikes, geez. Every time I get on here, my nose itches. It does work really well with this. You can use it as, like I said, it annoys me on a lot of levels because you'll be on a good spot and then it's going to go off one of those spikes and you won't have another spike there to like go into. So it's not like this where you can move and consistently have more material to like press on that knot with. So, but those are all situational, guys. Play with what you want. You know, if you're curious about a rumble roller, buy a used one or go use a friend's or at the gym or something. See if the spikes and stuff do anything for you that you like better, okay? We used to only use that, but everything's got its own purpose and use. So I love this more than anything. I would like to get a rumble roller and use it together, but I mean, seriously, I've got like 400 different things I could use and none of them are any better than the other. They're just situationally going to be used for different things in different setups. I mean, you know, depending on how much pain you have, how tender you are, like how long it's been since you've done it. Foam rolling should not be rolling. We know that. You hold the spots if you watch any of these videos. So make sure that you know that, and that helps you to determine by pressing into your roller how old it is, how much it's actually. Excuse me. Ooh, that just came out of nowhere. How long it's going to actually last you, or how well it's going to be as far as effectiveness in your rolling session. Longer roller, I definitely would recommend if you're going to have one for your house, get the 3-footer. There's just so many things. Like when you roll the spine with this one, you have to like position yourself just right. And if you're over 6 foot, which I'm not, it's really going to be hard for you to do some of this stuff. So get yourself a 3-footer. If you travel, the 2-foot I definitely would get. Things outside we can say yawn. I think that's about it, guys. I mean, in reality, I just wanted to go over a bunch of different tools and accessories that you guys can play with. What time is it, babe? Okay, cool. So let's spend some time on the feet, all right? You can do it with your shoes on, but no, you can't. So take your shoes off. I was just kidding. If you have a gun, use it, because it is going to make your feet feel a lot easier to work. If your foot is really making you like, tickle, 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 then turn it down and get used to it. And if it's still really bad to do the bottom of your foot with it, put it on the floor and do the top first, because that's what's making the bottom so sensitive. Same thing with your legs. If you're doing your quads and they're too sensitive, do your hamstrings. If your hamstrings are too sensitive, do your quads. Glutes are too sensitive, do your hips. And guess what I'm going to say? If your hips are too sensitive, do your glutes. Pain is never where the problem is. Sensitivity is never where the problem is. It's always another area that is aggravating that one. I'm going to go on setting 4 with this. A lot smoother. I can do it a lot easier. Doesn't bounce around. So, if one's sensitive, then always go through the body or across the body. Figure out what it is that's causing that area to be so aggravated. It shouldn't be that way. That's your nerves talking to you. It's like, don't get a bigger sole and more comfortable shoe because your foot hurts. Fix your foot. All right. So really, I'm just like taking it, and I'm starting at the bottom of my foot. I'm not even showing you guys this, sorry. From the bottom of my foot, and I'm just pushing it. Just starting at the bottom. You push up to the top. Started from the bottom, now we're here. Started from the bottom, working up from the heel. Do not listen to that. That song always gets stuck in my head. Just going back and forth on it. Hit your toes. They really have meridians and base in them. Go side to side. Little circles. Hit the bony areas. Make it all feel good. Do your other foot. Feet really shouldn't take a lot. You don't want to overdo the feet. Because if you overdo the feet, then you're going to have to walk on them. So don't take them off. You'll throw the rest of your body off for days. And you can always come back. They're a small muscle group. You can just go through them pretty easy. 15 minutes, 15 minutes. Wait another day, come back to it. Pretty good. gun works great for the feet. It's quiet. I can just do the session and talk to you guys and have no problem with it. When you do your foot and your toes, make sure you put your hand behind your toes so you can brace them and actually get a good impact to them. Otherwise, you'll just be slapping your toes around. All right. Ooh, damn. Slapping it on the ground. Okay, little guy. On the floor. My son says what? Sorry, bud. I was talking about something here. Go white. There you go. A little bit better, okay? So we're just gonna get this guy and we're just gonna go with a little rolling. A little back and forth just to warm it up. And all we're doing here is just, if it's really sensitive, slow down. Mine doesn't feel sensitive at all, so. We're just gonna kind of massage this just for a second and figure out where our body is telling us. Mine's right there. So once you get that deep spot, mine's right in the plantar fascia, which means right in the center of my ball, like in the arch of your foot. So I'm just going to get on here, and you can see I'm just going to grind it away. And there it goes. It released. That's how long it takes, guys. You get on the spot, you hold it, you release it, okay? Some of them take longer, but you got to grind it away. Obviously, this is a small muscle group, but therein lies the truth. I just massaged it, I massaged it. I stimulated it with the gun to bring everything up to par, wake it up, and get everything functioning and sync together. So what happens, these tender spots don't have other areas fighting them as much, and then they're going to get a big release, and it's quick. And if you guys got my grounding kit, then you should really roll and do everything with it, okay? It's not a sales pitch or anything, but you guys are talking about pain or anything like that. It's going to reduce the amount of pain that you feel. It's going to make things happen faster so you get it done better. And like I said, it's not going to hurt as bad. It's going to give a place for that negative energy, that big stimulation that's kicking out. As it starts kicking out, the grounding kit will receive it and takes it out to the earth. It really works like that. All right. So doing that, you could use this little guy, but I'm not. I'm going to probably going to use this one, just another step up, because I just want a bigger ball to go deeper with. I'm going to stand up. Standing up really helps here. All I'm doing is starting from the middle and pushing it to my heel, stretching it backwards. All right, just pushing that back again. I found another layer. I'm going layer by layer. Got a good spot here, so I'm going to do some grinding. I might suggest if you're standing to have something to hold on to, because my body just like leaned forward, almost like I lost my balance just a little bit. It just shot like into the pain the spot I was pressing on. It's good you can't see my face. All right, so just release some spots there. Still feel it more on the outside. So I'm going to start from the back now, pull it up towards my toe on the far outside. Better. Kind of roll it out, check it out, see how you're doing. Can you pull your toes better? I get pretty good now.
Pick my toes up. That's really hard for people to do. I don't know if you can not pull your toes all the way up with the ground. If you can't spread them out. Me and Sarah were doing this yesterday, how well we can spread them out. So that's two ways to gauge like really how good your foot function, your calf and shin function is. It's how well can you pull your toes up with your foot completely planted on the ground. Ooh, so I'm going to do the inside here, and we'll be done with this foot. Pull it towards the toe. That just melted. Yeah, so much better, guys. So much better. And that just took a few seconds, really. So I'll go back here. Just to massage everything back a little bit. See if we feel anything else in there. Little spot. All right, now I'm going to buzz it up. Just really quickly now, you don't even have to spend any time on this one, guys. Just got to sync those muscles back together, so get rid of that achiness, any little throbs you got or whatever. It'll buzz everything together. And if you still have those, guess what? You didn't finish. So go back and release that spot that you still feel. You'll get better at it. Don't get discouraged. Don't think you messed yourself up. It won't go away. Sometimes you have to might wait a day. All right. So I'll do this one while you guys are here. Spend some more time with you. Now I got a nice vibration, nice sensation rolling through my feet. On that left side, I can feel the reciprocating blood flow just coming back up quicker. My calf and everything is now invigorated with energy. All these meridians, they basically get tight and they cut off the lifeline to the rest of the body. So you want to make sure that these reflex points are open, so that way your sensories throughout all systems are firing properly. This one's not nearly as bad. I think I just did some work to this not too long ago, though. Basically just pulling it, sitting. You can actually use your heel to like drag it against the ground, like pulling my heel down like this on the back to like, and then pulling to like almost drag that tissue into a stretch. Helps release it better. Because I can kind of lean forward like this. Just put all the weight into my foot and just roll slowly, and it'll kind of like knead the dough. Grabbing that layer and pushing it out. Yeah, this one's a little different on there. It's more of like pulling back and hitting through there, but similar spots. That's where using this ball, like this double ball right through here, really helps. All right, last one through here. Oh, God, you can't see my face on this one. This one is the worst out of the 2 feet for sure. Made a liar out of me. This one's not too bad. See, you never know. Pain hides itself really well. this one's taking a minute to release. Jeez, I need this one. Guess where it's at? Right in my shoulder meridian. Makes sense. That's where I had all my issues in my life. Well, the last 7 years. They're all fixed now, but it's what lasted. Hey, Bubba. What's that, bud? Whew. All right, let me buzz that up. I hope you guys got to do this with me. Just doing a little bit of the foot stuff, man. So many people have crazy issues in their feet, or they don't realize a lot of the issues in their alignment of their body. Everything is coming from their feet. They're really club foot or really beat up and just stiff in it, and they don't relax. Therefore, the whole entire kind of shock absorber of the body becomes real stiff. Because if your foot is already hard, then there's nothing to do but just everything else is going to start becoming hard against it. Above it, I mean. The more loose you keep your foot, the more loose every line going up the body is going to become inherently. So, food for thought, focus on that. All right, my friends. I hope this was a blessing to you. A little bit different session. Next week, we'll go back to like some more hardcore rolling and everything, but I did want to touch on some tools. Everybody's been asking me about it. Not everybody, but I've had a significant amount of people ask about tools and just different things that they could use. So I wanted to go over some stuff with the tools, and I'd be able to show you these things in case you guys wanted to invest in one, or if you have one and you were looking for some information on how to use it. So I love you guys. We'll see you for Sunday stretch with Sarah, and may you guys have a blessed night and the rest of your week.